ब्रह्मनाथ शांति 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 स्वस्थ. In the previous class we discussed about the filariasis. It is an important disease of the health and disease. Filariasis is also known as your elephantiasis. It is caused by the nematode parasite called generally Wuchereria bancrofti. It is digenetic in nature, means it requires two hosts for completing its life cycle. Primary host is your human and secondary host is the female mosquito. Also we discussed the complete life cycle. Then we discussed the symptoms. What are the various symptoms? Means the various symptoms are the swelling legs, scrotums and the mammary glands. These occur due to the accumulation of the parasite in the lymphatic vessels and the lymphatic glands. Also we discussed various treatments such as anti-helminthias drugs such as your hetagen and your diethyl carbamazine. Next we discuss the various prevention such as the main mode of infection is the mosquito, such as using the traditional mosquito nets or various insect repellent to make distance from the insects, so to avoid this disease called filariasis or elephantiasis. Today we will discuss our new topic, that is your malaria. Okay, first point. Malaria is an oldest disease caused by the protozoan named genus Plasmodium. Okay, generally we have a myth that the malaria is caused only by mosquito. No, mosquito is a female mosquito is just a vector who spreads this disease. Okay, means the malaria we cannot say that it caused by the insect. Instead, insect is or we can say the mosquito is a vector for the malaria. So we can say malaria is an oldest disease caused by the protozoan having genus called Plasmodium. Malaria is an oldest disease caused by the protozoan named genus Plasmodium. Okay. So first point, malaria is an oldest disease caused by the protozoan genus starting from the name Plasmodium. Total there are 4 types of Plasmodium are present. Okay, 4 Plasmodium are there, such as first one is your Plasmodium vivax. Plasmodium vivax. Second one is your Plasmodium falciparum. Third one is your Plasmodium ovale. Fourth one is your Plasmodium malaria. Okay, as this is a scientific name, you should underline. This one is your genus name, this one is your species name. Okay, so there are 4 Plasmodium, the names such as having Plasmodium vivax and the Plasmodium falciparum. 80 to 90% of the malaria caused by these two genus names, or we can say these two species, the Plasmodium vivax, and the most dangerous one is your Plasmodium falciparum. Rest one is caused by the Plasmodium ovale in the malaria, Plasmodium malaria. Next point. This parasite, Plasmodium parasite, was first discovered by Charles Leveron in the year 1880. This parasite was first discovered by Charles Leveron in the year 1880. Okay. So this parasite was first discovered by Charles Leveron in the year 1880. Next point. This parasite is digenetic in nature, means it requires two hosts for completing its life cycle. Primary host is the female Anopheles mosquito and the secondary host is your human. This parasite is digenetic as it requires two hosts to complete its life cycle. Primary host is the female Anopheles mosquito and the secondary host is the human. Okay. Next point. Sir Ronald Ross in the year 1897 found the oocyst of the Plasmodium in the gut wall of the mosquito. Sir Ronald Ross in the year 1897 found oocyst of Plasmodium in the gut wall of female Anopheles mosquito. Okay. So the malaria, as we discussed, malaria is an oldest disease caused by the protozoan genus called the Plasmodium. There are four types of Plasmodium generally: Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium ovale, and last one the Plasmodium malariae. 80 to 90% malaria is caused by these two, Plasmodium vivax and the Plasmodium falciparum, and rest one caused by the ovale and the malariae. This parasite was first discovered by Charles Leveron in the year 1880, and this parasite is digenetic in nature. Okay, as in the case of the filariasis also it was digenetic in nature, and in this case also it is digenetic in nature. But in that case, the primary host was the human and the secondary host was the mosquito. But in this case, the primary host is the female Anopheles mosquito, but the secondary host is the human. And lastly, the Sir Ronald Ross in the year 1897 found the oocyst of the Plasmodium in the gut wall of the female Anopheles mosquito. Okay, please note down. Next we'll discuss what are the various mode of infection. Okay, from a malaria patient or a malaria person, the disease is being transferred to the healthy person by the help of the, or we can say by the help of the insect, or we can say female Anopheles mosquito bite. The main mode of infection is it transfer from an infected person to a healthy person by the female Anopheles mosquito bite. Okay. The most infective stage is known as the sporozoids, which is present in the saliva of the female Anopheles mosquito. The infective stage, that is your sporozoids, is present in the salivary gland of the female Anopheles mosquito. The parasite develops a toxic pigment. Okay, your third point is the parasite develops a toxic pigment called hemozoin inside the RBC of the human, causing malaria. Okay, the parasite, the fourth point, the parasite develops a toxic pigment called hemozoin inside the RBC of the human, causing general the malaria. So these are the important 3 points. The main mode of infection is from a healthy person. This is transferred. This parasite is transferred by the help of the female Anopheles mosquito. Means from the suffered person, malaria person, to another person, or to a healthy person, this is transferred by the help of the female Anopheles mosquito. And next, the infective stage is your sporozoid. What it is called? It is called the sporozoid. It is present in the salivary gland of the female Anopheles mosquito. And the last point, this parasite develops a toxic pigment called hemozoin. What it is called? It is called hemozoid, which it develops inside the RBC of the human, causing the malaria. Okay. Next, come to your life cycle. The life cycle, it is the life cycle of the Plasmodium is digenetic and triphasic. Means digenetic means it requires 2 hosts to complete its life cycle. Primary host is the female Anopheles mosquito, and the secondary host is your human being. And why it is called the triphasic? Because this life cycle consists of 3 phases. Okay, zygogony, gametogony or gamogony, and third one is your sporogony. This parasite is digenetic and triphagic. Okay, why it is digenetic? Because it requires 2 hosts to complete its life cycle. Why it is digenetic? It requires 2 hosts. Okay, primary is one is your female Anopheles mosquito, secondary host is one is your human. Okay, and it is triphagic because the life cycle consists of 3 phases. Okay, one is your zygogony, other one is your gametogony or gamogony, third one is your sporogony. Okay, Further, schizogony is divided into two types. One is your hepatic schizogony. Other one is your erythrocytic schizogony. Hepatic schizogony and other one is your erythrocytic schizogony. Further, the hepatic schizogony is divided into two types: pre-erythrocytic schizogony and exo-erythrocytic schizogony. Pre-erythrocytic schizogony. Other one is your exo-erythrocytic schizogony. Okay. So your life cycle is digenetic. The life cycle of this parasite, the Plasmodium, is digenetic and triphasic. Means digenetic means it requires two hosts. One, the primary host is female Anopheles mosquito and the secondary host is human. And life cycle is triphasic because it consists of three phases. One is your schizogony, then the gamogony or gametogony, third one is your sporogony. Further, the schizogony is divided into two types: hepatic schizogony and the erythrocytic schizogony, where the hepatic schizogony is divided into two types. One is your pre-erythrocytic schizogony, other one is your exo-erythrocytic schizogony. Okay, please note down. So now come to your life cycle of the malarial parasite. As we discussed, the malarial parasite, parasite is digenetic and triphasic, means it requires two hosts for completing its life cycle, such as your primary host is your female Anopheles mosquito and the secondary host is your human. Whereas it is also called the triphasic, means it consists of three phases. One is your the schizogony, the gamogony and the sporogony. One is your schizogony, other one is your sporogony, second one is your gamogony and third one is your sporogony. Okay. So see, first, when we know in the infected, or we can say in the infected mosquito, the sporozoid, which one is your infected stage of the malaria, is present in the salivary gland of the female Anopheles mosquito. When this infected mosquito will bite a healthy human, then it will enter into the bloodstream of the healthy human. After that, it will pass on into the various liver cells. Okay, whereas the sporozoid will enter into the liver cells and it asexually divide to have the scion stage. Further, these sporozoids will convert it into cryptozoids inside the liver cells. When it will full of the, we can say, the cryptozoids, it will burst. After that, the cryptozoid will infect another healthy liver cell, where it further asexually divide. This stage is called your scion stage, where it is further the cryptozoids is converted into now metacryptozoids. When the metacryptozoids is fully formed, then it another time burst, and these metacryptozoids feed upon a healthy RBC. Further, this metacryptozoid, when enter into the RBC, it is now converted into trophozoid. Okay. So up to this stage is your hepatic, means starting from the liver cells when it enters and up to when it enters into the RBC, when the metacryptozoid feed upon the RBC. So up to this much is your hepatic schizogony. Then we'll start your next stage, that is your erythrocytic schizogony. Erythrocytic means what? RBC. When the metacryptozoids will feed upon your RBC, then the metacryptozoids will form converted into your next stage, that is called your trophozoid. Next, trophozoid will further form the signet ring-like structure. We can say trophozoid helps in the some changes in the internal structure, forming ring-like structure called signet ring stage, having vacuole inside. Okay. Further, it is changed into the amoeboid stage, where some granules are present which are toxic. We can say the parasite develops some harmful or toxic pigments which causes the malaria, and that pigment is nothing but called the hemojoin granules. Further, another some granules are also produced, that is called the Schiffner's dots. Okay. Further, the amoeboid stage, now the merozoites are being formed. When the merozoites are full of when the RBC is full of the merozoites, it bursts. Okay, and these merozoites further infect or feed upon the two healthy RBC. Okay, so up to this much is your erythrocytic schizogony. Up to this much is your hepatic schizogony. Now it comes to the end of your erythrocytic schizogony. Now the next stage is your gamogony. In human only, as some RBC, as it infected merozoites, infected various RBC, some will converted into macrogametocyte and some will be converted into microgametocyte. Obviously, macrogametocyte means it is the case of the female gamete, and the microgametocyte means it is the case of the male gamete. Okay. Further, as we know, polar body is present in the macrogametocyte, and in the case of the microgametocyte, the structures usually some changes occur as the cytoplasm is constricted to the periphery region. Further, by the help of the process called the exflagellation, the microgametes are being formed having the flagella-like structure. Okay. Further, this one is your macrogametocyte and this one is your microgametocyte, or we can say macrogamete or the microgamete. These two fuses means this one is your macro and the micro. Okay, this one is your macro and this one is your micro. Fertilization takes place, forming a fully developed zygote. Okay, but up to this is your gamogony, means from here in the human, initiation of the gamogony takes place. But one point you should remember, from this stage the initiation takes place in the human being, but from this stage when the mosquito, female Anopheles mosquito, bites an infected human being, then this macro and the microgamete is transferred into the female Anopheles mosquito, where the further development takes place and the fertilization of the zygote takes place. This takes place in the case of the female Anopheles mosquito. Okay. Further, when the zygote is fully formed, and up to this stage is called your gamogony. Okay. Then your third stage will occur, that is your sporogony, in which as we know that is the zygote is round in structure, it cannot penetrate into the gut wall of the female Anopheles mosquito. Further, the structure which is rounded like structure is converted to somehow spindle like structure, which is called your ookinete. Okay. After penetrating into the gut wall of the female Anopheles mosquito, the development takes place by which it forms the oocyst. Okay. Next, we discussed that the Sir Ronald Ross first found the oocyst in the gut wall of the female Anopheles mosquito in the year 1897. We discussed in the introduction portion. Then further, the maturation takes place by which the mature oocysts are formed having the sporozoites. Okay. Further, when it is full of the sporozoites, then the mature oocyst will burst, and at this stage the sporozoites will enter into the salivary glands of the female Anopheles mosquito, and it will present or enter into the proboscis of the mosquito. Now the infected mosquito is now fully ready to get or we can say to get infected or to transfer the sporozoites to another healthy person. So cycle of parasite. Now come to some your writing part of the life cycle of the malaria parasite. Okay, as we discussed, it consists of 3 pages: schizogony, gamogony and sporogony. First we'll discuss the schizogony writing part. Okay, so first portion, it is the asexual phase. First one, it is the asexual phase, means the schizone stage is present as it divides in the asexually to form many cells. First, second point, it occurs in the human body. Which one? Schizogony phase is present or occurs inside the human body, as we discussed. Okay. Second, how it occurs? When female mosquito, Anopheles mosquito, bite to a healthy person, it releases the infective stage, as I have said earlier, that is called the sporozoids, which is present in the saliva of the mosquito. Next point, as the schizogony is divided into two types. First one is the hepatic schizogony, as it is related to the liver, and another one is the erythrocytic schizogony, as it is related to the RBC of the human. So first one we will discuss the hepatic schizogony. As it occurs first point in the liver cells. Sporozoids first enter into the liver cell and becomes rounded and divide through the multiple fission, and which is known as your schizon stage. Next, it is converted into the sporozoids are converted into cryptozoids. Further, the cryptozoid now enter into another healthy liver cells and undergo multiple fission, or we can say the schizon stage, where it divides asexually to form the metacryptozoids. Okay, means the sporozoids are converted into cryptozoids. Further, in another liver cell, it is converted into metacryptozoids. Next, when these metacryptozoids infect or enter into the RBC, now the erythrocytic schizogony is being started, which occurs inside the RBC of the human. Further, when the metacryptozoids enter into the RBC, it is converted into trophozoids. Okay, these trophozoids feed upon the hemoglobin, which change its internal structure, or we can say, as we have discussed, that the parasite develops the toxic pigment called the hemojoin granules. Okay, so the trophozoids feed upon the hemoglobin by changing its internal structure and forming the toxic pigments called the hemojoin, which is the main cause of the malaria, Further, these trophozoids is converted into the merozoids, which further enter into the, we can say, it is the RBC. Okay. So, and by this we came to end of the schizogony. Further, we will discuss the gamogony. Now come to your next two stages, where is another one is your gamogony and second one is your sporogony. Gamogony means in this stage, in the second stage of the life cycle of the malarial parasite, the gametes are being formed. This stage is first started in the human body, or we can say the initiation of the gamete formation is being started in the human body. But after the mosquito bite to the infected person, this get transferred into the female Anopheles mosquito. Okay, where the microgamete and the macrogamete total formation takes place and the fusion also takes place. We will read in detail. First, see, in the human, the merozoids, one second. In human, the merozoids, as it enters into the RBC, it develops into two types of gametocyte. One is your macro and the microgametocyte. This initiation takes place inside the human. After that, when these macro and the microgametocytes are sucked by the mosquito, which is further converted into the female gametocyte, as it is written, female gametocyte, other one is developed into the male gametocyte by the help of the process called the exflagellation, where the structure is somehow flagella-like structure. Then the fusion takes place, means the male gametocyte is fertilized by the female gametocyte, or we can say male and female gametocyte fused in the stomach of the female Anopheles mosquito to form the zygote, or we can say the round oval ookinete. Further, the ookinete, which is up to this, is your gametogony or the gamogony stage of the life cycle of the malarial parasite. Further, as the oogony is rounded in structure, it is converted into spindle-like structure, by which it can easily penetrate into the gut wall of the female Anopheles mosquito. Further, next stage is your sporogony, in which the sporozoids are formed. It occurs specifically in the mosquito's body. As the oocyst, means after the ookinete means enter, as the ookinete becomes spindle shaped, by which it can penetrate into the gut wall of the female Anopheles mosquito, by which the oocyst get develops. After that, maturity also occurs, by which after fully development of the mature oocyst, the mature oocyst ruptures. It occurs in the mosquito's body, and the mature oocyst ruptures and it releases various sporozoites that migrate through the mosquito's body, by which it enters into the salivary glands of the mosquito and enters into the proboscis. Now the mosquito is ready to infect another healthy person, by where it can transfer the sporozoites into the healthy human being. So this is the stage, means see, the oocyst ruptures, it releases sporozoites that migrate through the mosquito's body to the salivary gland, and it is present in the proboscis region, and now it is able to or ready to transfer this sporozoite into a healthy person and want to be injected to another man, or we can say another healthy man. Okay, so this is the life cycle in which total 3 stages we discussed. First one is your schizogony. Schizogony is of 2 types, hepatic and erythrocytic schizogony. Further, the gamogony, where the gametes are being formed. And further, the sporogony, where the sporozoites are being formed, and the sporozoites are transferred from the mosquito to the healthy human being. And also it is digenetic in nature, by which the primary host is the female Anopheles mosquito, but the secondary host is your human being. So by this we came to the end of the complete life cycle of the malarial parasite. So that's all for today. We will meet in our next class. Thank you.